It's gonna start. Everybody's like, "Oh, it sounds like the beginning of Tax Man." All right, we're back to audio podcasting. It feels a little more like a conversation.
Old school.
Yes, old school indeed. I'm George, and I'm joined today by our good buddy Tim.
Hi.
Our good buddy Walls.
Hey.
Our good buddy Donnie.
Hey.
And perhaps our best buddy, Gary.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh.
Feeling cranky this morning.
Hey, you know what, though? That makes it more entertaining.
It's the return of Pop's Cooler. Yeah. I like it.
Oh.
That's terrible. That's terrible because I'm a nice guy.
Hey, we all have to have a persona within the context of the podcast,
Yeah, that's right.
you know?
Acting.
True story.
By night, rock and roller. By day.
Exactly.
All right. So, we'll go ahead and get started. You know what? Gary, why don't you go ahead and throw out what we were just talking about here a second ago? Thanos.
Okay. Yeah, Thanos. I just, I paid a couple bucks and stuff online for Thanos 13. And I didn't realize what I was buying into, which is the first Cosmic Ghost Rider, which, of course, is Frank Castle. It's been 5 issues, so I'm not going to put a spoiler alert on this. But the fact is, I bought into a story that's actually doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Because this whole storyline.
I tried to tell him last night, but you read it. I mean, I was trying to go. I was in a very soft and kind, nice way. I was trying to go, but I know what you're saying, but
yeah. Well, Thanos has killed everybody in the universe, and he's trying to win the love of death. Female. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so this whole thing doesn't exist, and here we go. We have a great storyline, which is kind of make-believe, even for comic books, because you have the Infinity War coming up, but yet Thanos isn't that Thanos. Does that make sense? Because there's an older version in the storyline of Thanos, which I think he's going to battle next issue, number 18.
Okay.
Which is coming up.
So the gist of your
It's
issue
like the
with
Dark
it
Knight
is that
Returns. It's almost like
count.
I don't know if it counts or doesn't count, but it's kind of strange because people were going gaga over this new Frank Castle Cosmic Ghost Rider. But at the same time, he doesn't exist. He's not going to exist in this storyline.
Beyond that title.
Right.
Yeah.
Except
it's like someone showing up in The Dark Knight Returns number 3 back in the 80s and becoming the first appearance of it. Well, that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
that
but
storyline doesn't exist.
But if you look at it like the first appearance of Harley Quinn in the Batman animated comic, that was very much not part of the major thing, but she was popular enough. She ended up being introduced and having a first appearance. I don't think there's any way in the world they're not going to have Frank Castle Ghost Rider part of the main Marvel universe. They're going to, just the way they're figuring out that this is like an Elseworld story, they're going to have some time warp open. When Old Man Logan can team up with Wolverine and X-Men, they're going to find a way to bring him in.
I get what he's saying though, because I remember I fell in love with this Elseworld story, Joker of the Wild, which is really cool that Kelly Jones did.
Yeah.
Batman, and Batman was actually a furry bat creature. He was born a furry bat creature,
I remember that.
And his parents were killed by the Elseworlds Joker. It was like it had this like sort of a medieval setting, and it was really cool. But it was neat. He was like a furry, he was a furry bat. He was more like a bat, a humanoid form, but a bat. And it's It's a really phenomenal thing, but it really is not part of the regular Batman storyline. But it was I thought a great story.
Right.
I mean, I have it hardback. I have several versions of it. I just think it's really super cool. So I sort of get what he's saying, but
sure.
To me, it's near and dear to my heart, but it isn't really in the storyline. I guess for me, that doesn't bother me as much. I get what you're saying. I respect what you're saying and understand it, but it just doesn't. But I still love the story.
Right, but it's getting all this publicity, and here we go. The Infinity War's coming out, and that's not that Thanos.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's always hard to explain to people that the Batman in Dark Knight Returns, that's not Batman. Because we're never going to see him at 50 years old. Mm-hmm. He's never retiring.
Right. That's like what I tell a lot of casual Batman fans who only know Batman for the movies. I'm like, you guys don't realize the Adam West show was at the time a very accurate portrayal of Batman.
Yeah.
Batman as we know him now didn't become that until Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't
realize. Dark Knight was really, it was an Elseworlds thing.
Yeah. So by your logic, and I know you're a Hulk fan too, so I ask you, first of all, does the Elseworld story, does that bother you?
No, not at all.
Okay, so would the worst thing in the world happen, the worst thing in the world that could happen be if in I don't know, let's just say Hulk number 700 or 750, when it comes out, it shows Bruce Banner like in the thing where he basically gets the gamma ray, but he basically kind of comes to, and the entire run was nothing but a dream taking place in that split second. Would that ruin all of it?
Saint Elsewhere?
Well, yeah, it would just tick me off for a couple weeks.
Only a couple of weeks.
Saint Hulkswear.
Typical Marvel.
Saint Hulkswear.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Typical
It'd
Marvel.
just be some stupid Marvel would do. Just dumb.
Yeah, that would be kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like, well, whatever.
Yeah. It's like when, do you remember the Newhart show? Newhart at the end of the when he ran the inn, not the Bob Newhart show, but Newhart. In the last episode, he wakes up and rolls over, and his wife from the Bob Newhart show is in bed with him. The whole thing was a dream. That was good times.
So we would see the stock of Hulk 181 just totally plummet. You know,
Wolverine never existed.
Hey Tim, I was in Frederick. I bought you a copy of Hulk 181. I got it for a quarter here. Got one for you too.
Within the context of a fictional world.
Well, Roseanne just did it.
Yeah.
Came back, Dan's, they're making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Why does everybody think I died?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Because you did.
Yeah. Yeah, good times.
I know. We just take some of the stuff to heart, though. It's comic books, but it's like well, that's not part of the real comic world.
But you know
the
what?
comic world is real.
Because it's our world.
Yeah, and I respect that because if you didn't take it
thing.
personally, you wouldn't roll in here and drop $4 or $5, on newsprint.
Because it is a real world to us.
Sure.
So once again, I
don't think anybody presented Thanos this series right now. The first 18 issues, I don't think anybody presented it as a Elseworlds storyline.
Right.
Maybe I missed something.
But do you think that they?
No, now I get it. Now.
But do you think they have to?
For sure.
Do you think that it's okay to leave people in the dark about it? I mean,
well, especially when the Infinity War's coming out. Yeah. I think it's kind of important.
I think
that this doesn't have anything to do with that gadillion budget movie. Movie is going to come up.
But and just playing the devil's advocate here, you always say the movies have nothing to do with the comics. So do they? Does it matter?
They do in the. I understand that. They don't mean anything. They don't mean anything to me as far as continuity, but they're very important.
I think what he means possibly is some confusion, like people that are just getting into it are going. Some people might just totally say, "I don't care," but it might be confusing for some newer people that aren't familiar with the history or whatever, and they're like.
But there again, you have a major thing going on with the was it the Red Goblin?
Yeah.
You guys are talking about it, right?
Yeah.
People talk about a lot of buzz to it. But there's 2 other Spider-Man titles. Is the Red Goblin in those? Is he ready to kill everybody in the other 2 titles? No. Probably not.
Well, I mean,
that's always a problem. It's always been a problem for me.
They do that across the board because you got Old Man Logan versus Deadpool. You have Deadpool's regular book, and then you have Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
And you have Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Yeah, and now the new one you have is the Marvel Universe kills Deadpool, and it's a whole thing of all the different characters.
Well, I just happened to notice. I don't know. Sometimes they do these covers just to do, for the sake of art. But I noticed in the issue that's coming up, 799, the Morales Spider-Man. He's on the cover underneath the Red Goblin's. This is no spoiler alert because the picture's all over.
Yeah.
The Red Goblin is standing on top of the Black Cat. There's a whole bunch of characters on the ground there, and he's one of them though. Yeah, he's one of the I don't know if he's actually even going to be brought. What's interesting is it just for the artifact, or is he actually going to be brought into the story? Because I don't know that much, and I won't find out until the next issue. But he's clearly on the cover there. The other Spider-Man is clearly, who is a different person, is on the cover.
Yeah. That's the bait. Yeah, that's how they get you, man.
It is.
Forever.
And they get me every time.
I must say, without spoiling it, if anybody hasn't read it, the introduction of the Red Goblin is pretty cool. I mean, it's interesting. It's I don't know. Maybe something similar been done again? I don't know. I just thought it was pretty clever. Yeah. I thought it was really clever, actually.
Talking about the bait and switch, Marvel's been doing. Last month it was a Hulk anniversary, so every single cover had a Hulk variant. Now Hulk's not even in the book, but he's on the cover. Case in point, Marvel 2-in-1 number 3 was supposed to be. It's the Human Torch and the Thing. But
right there.
The variant cover has the Thing and the Incredible Hulk falling off of a building, fighting, and it's under the idea of a Hulk variant. That never happens. He's not even in the book.
Right.
But they're selling it that way. So if you want to talk about confusing, to me, a new reader comes walking and sees that and then opens it and it's not in there at all.
Well,
what are you doing? They're doing it this month with Venom.
Venom is on the cover of this current one. The current one, Venom, like I think it's like a
lady Venom lady.
No, it's like a lady Spider-Man. It's like yeah.
Well, I mean, I give Venom the pass a little bit because he actually is appearing in like all the other titles.
Exactly.
So, unlike Hulk, who isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is crossing over a lot, and
I give Venom the pass just a little bit.
Well, and it's in the 30th anniversary.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean,
I give Marvel all the credit. Well, Disney, whoever is in charge of the movies, because they've kept the same actors and the continuity going. Obviously, the Spider-Man you have to change because actors move on, they get older, and they can't be playing somebody at 40. Yeah. It's supposed to be in high school.
Well, Chris Evans, the actor who plays Captain America, already says after Infinity War he's done.
Yeah.
So he's
going
to
understand
die.
That. I can understand a lot of those actors moving on. I get it.
You don't want to beat a role to death. You don't want to get bored with it and just phone it in.
And I mean, at some point, you don't have enough time left in life to count all your money. I mean, there's no way those guys aren't rolling in $1 billion.
Well, I think the X-Men thing was smart too, where they went back and looked at the origins earlier, and they were able to have a younger cast come in and play the characters. I mean, I thought that was pretty smart, and because people then start to appreciate the newer characters. I mean, I love the old lineup. I mean, Famke Johnson is the perfect Jane Grey.
Well,
I mean, I just...
And, I always thought, I always forgave that immediately. I kind of like the idea of different actors in comic book movies because I feel like we've all been kind of conditioned to accept that anyway because different artists have such different takes on the same characters.
Exactly.
And so it's almost that same feel, like, oh, okay, this is the Bryan Singer Magneto versus, going down the line. Yeah. So I think that's neat.
Well, because I remember that with Batman when Kelly Jones did the Bat, with the
long
everybody was like, "What the?"
Ears.
And I personally loved it.
Yeah, I was on board.
Yeah, I knew Tim and I were always on board, and a lot of people were, but some people were thought they were going to church and like signing the cross and sacrilege. I mean, no, you could. I read some of the.
Nobody's getting this video.
I read some of the letters, man. It was like people were losing their mind because he had real sharp, pointy ears. I'm like, it's a freaking character.
Is that your favorite Batman, Tim?
Yeah.
The only Batman costume I ever saw that I was like, no, is amazingly, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for it, is the Dark Knight Returns Batman costume. I do not like that costume simply because of how the bat symbol looks on his chest. It looks like a Count Chocula marshmallow.
I'm not a big fan of the whole Azrael thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I definitely.
That's a Limp Peter for sure.
Not looking for that. Not looking forward to the next.
I know. I remember looking at that going.
How do you even move in that thing?
I'm trying to figure out how to move from Limp Peter.
Sorry, podcast world. It's just I'm with Tim.
Here we go.
I'm an anti-Israeli.
Down the hole.
Took a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
Hey Tim, maybe you can help me out. I saw Wonder Woman a couple nights ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Ray Film.
You have my undivided attention.
I don't know why you guys applaud just because I see a movie.
And did you like it?
Because I get the popcorn out and spend 2 hours in front of the TV. Yes, it was great. And what's her name?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah. Wow.
Gadot.
I thought it was Gadot too until I found out it's
Gadot.
It's
Like I said,
Gadot.
Wonder Woman's been around forever in their society and their island.
Okay.
How do those women show up?
Where do they come from?
Where do they come from?
Dude.
Life finds a way.
The
Hashtag
gods.
Jurassic Park.
Huh?
The gods. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Really? They don't explain it in the movie.
They
And like I said, Wonder Woman's been around forever, so how can you have a
They're just
society
there.
of...
I mean, I saw it in the theaters and I didn't see it since then, but it seems to me, wasn't there a conversation that they had
That there
about,
used to be men?
Yeah, about the book. Like the book where she's like, oh, I learned everything about reproduction and all that. Like she said something about that, and I thought it kind of leaned to that. Yeah.
I thought they implied that there were men.
At one point,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Because it's a movie.
Well, we'll have to watch it again.
What'd you think of it overall?
Yeah, did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was
I
awesome.
can't believe they killed Steve. No spoiler alert, because there again, I'm always last person.
Everybody's seen that.
So I don't want to hear
Except
anybody.
for you, I think everybody else has seen
I
that.
don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Kramer, when you're ruining everything, it's like
Everybody's going,
5 years later.
we all saw it.
Can't believe you.
Yeah, the only people that got spoiled on that probably don't have the technology to listen to this. Like, I'm waiting, when's it come out on VHS?
Very well done.
You got it reel to reel.
And the guy that was Ares really surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
I didn't see that coming at all.
I love the scene when it shows him when he's younger, like after Zeus beat him up, and he's like, he looks like straight up 70s porn star with the
Yeah.
mustache
Oh,
and the
the
hair.
mustache,
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the way they had him walking around and everything. And
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Like,
pretty cool.
That actor, he's good, but I don't know if I agree with him as Ares, just because I feel like when you have the God of War, he should be played by a stud, not
Yeah.
But you know what?
not a dork.
But you know what, though? I think that's part of the reason why none of us saw it coming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if they'd have made him much tougher.
Some
There's
characters,
Austin.
Some
Hey,
characters.
it's Austin. We're on an audio
Hey, it's
podcast.
Austin.
We're going to mention that Austin just got here. He's here.
He's here. Other side, bro.
Hey, everybody. Austin just arrived.
Hey, Austin's here.
Austin's late. He's going to get some demerits.
Austin.
Speak.
Hi, guys.
You got to introduce
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Austin. He's here.
Hi, buddy.
That was a
We're
round
talking about Wonder Woman.
circle
And I seen
of
it.
handshakes.
He's seen it. Yeah. I know, right?
What?
I still got to see Civil War, though.
Really?
Great googly moogly.
In the last Thor. I haven't seen it yet.
Great googly moogly.
Movie party.
It's got to happen.
It will.
Was that Maggie and the Ferocious Beast there?
Yeah.
Great googly moogly, Max.
No, do you remember the guy that did the I love the Snickers commercials. The guy's painting the end zone for Kansas City, and the big lineman walks behind him. He's down there meticulously. He goes, "Hey man, it's pretty good. Who are the chefs?" And he looks across at the letters and goes, "Great googly moogly."
Yeah, my kids watched the show. I'm trying to think. Would your kids have seen that? Maggie and the Ferocious Beast?
Probably.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Big yellow red spotted bee.
Yeah. That was good times.
How about that rabbit
I don't know where to go from
How
there.
about that little-
I'm like,
that little
I'm
rabbit
between
hole we just went
Maggie
down?
the Ferocious Beast and Limp Peter, and I'm not really sure what we're in
Remember
between.
Spider-Man and his
Woman.
Amazing Friends?
Yes, yes.
Oh, were you? Oh, you were already here for that? Yeah. It's like, wait a second,
When are they going to have a comic of that?
dude.
Where do you
They
go
did,
from here?
and I
They
have
did.
number one.
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
Yeah. Oh man, I lived for Saturday morning to watch Spider-Man: His Amazing Friends. It was great.
Hey, you know what they say? If you live for weekends, your shit's broke.
I like it.
Good times.
All right, then.
I tell you, I heard somebody really super, I don't know, was reading or super ragging on the late 60s Spider-Man cartoon. And looking at it now, of course.
It's
But
goofy.
yeah, but I thought they were, I like it's first of all, it's the best theme music ever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
I was into it.
I'm just going back to, 8-year-old, 9-year-old
Sure.
me, I look at it now. I still enjoy watching them. Because some of the voiceovers are pretty cool. The guy that Jameson is
Well, it's like the first season of that show was fine because it was like, okay, this is exactly what the comic was at the time.
And they covered real stories.
Yeah.
I mean, even followed the stories that were in the comic book somewhat close
Yeah.
to the cut.
And then you see season 2, and it's like, all right, the budget ran out.
Yeah.
Because then they're
It
having
was a
them-
Canadian company, and it
Yeah.
was on a really low budget.
They had him fighting like a giant snowman that got hit by power
Yeah.
lines. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then it got really
that's gold.
psychedelic. And then it got there was like psychedelic crazy, this crazy Iron Butterfly music playing in the background. I was like, what the hell? Yeah.
All right. So I'm
Peter
throwing that
Parker.
question. I'm throwing that question at you. Your favorite guilty pleasure cartoon? Something you don't want to admit to the world that you watched or liked.
That's a deep.
Sam's like,
Deep-
I gotta.
Oh, the wild
I
thorn-
gotta.
I'm gonna have to
The
get back
wild
with you.
thornberries.
Oh, okay.
Back.
The wild thornberries because my daughters. Because I always loved that guy, Elijah. He talked with his teeth.
Tim Curry. You don't want to
Did he
admit
do
that.
it?
That was Tim
I
Curry.
wasn't really. I didn't. You know what? The kids loved to watch it, and
Yeah.
I was like, this show's sort of kind of cool.
Here's the part where Gary's going to say, "I feel zero guilt about any of my pleasures."
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Brandon's
I'm trying to think of something that
Oh,
It'd be a
yeah.
guilty
Yeah, but Ren and
pleasure.
Stimpy's freaking
Yeah,
classic.
it is. I have to have it. I have to have it in my life. Even the later Spike versions are
Oof.
acceptable. Because you have to have them.
Those
Yeah.
are rough.
Nothing like the first couple seasons, but
What about you, Austin?
those are the best.
What do you dig?
He's still getting here. Still arriving.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Meatwad.
That's pretty good, though.
But there's some stuff on there
Meat
sometimes.
Wad, get the money, see?
That and Squidbillies.
Get the, oh.
Squidbillies.
I have 3 volumes of Squidbillies on video.
Those used to be kind of the parameters when I knew I was awake too long. And it was time to go to bed.
Oh, I think the Squidbillies rock, man.
All
I
that
think
stuff. I
that's
mean,
But it was C-Lab.
so I was just
See,
going to
that's
say
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
But without that, you couldn't get
I was
much.
watching it one time, and I didn't realize what it was. And when Adult Swim first came on,
Yeah.
and there was
You're
some
like,
kind, there was
what?
some,
Can he be doing that?
there was some kind of homosexual remark, and I'm like, what did he say? You know, because here it's looking like Globetrotters and Johnny Quest or something. I'm like, what did he just say? I didn't realize I was watching, what
Well,
it
my
was.
wife told me she woke up she said she was going to walk downstairs. She heard this twangy banjo going on. She's like, I just didn't even bother. I didn't know what the heck you were watching. I just turned around, went back upstairs. It was Squidbillies. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm watching Squidbillies.
I don't know if any of you guys have Hulu, but if you're watching something on Hulu and then whatever you're watching runs out of episodes, it'll start automatically plugging in whatever it deems the closest.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
And it's usually not even close.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, I go to sleep one night watching Goldbergs, and I wake up the next morning to the Squidbillies music. I didn't know the show had existed, and it comes on, and I kind of wake up and I'm watching it, and they're only like 12 or 15 minute episodes.
Yeah, the 50. Yeah.
So one comes on, one goes off, the next one comes on. I was like, all right, I'll give this another chance. I was like, man, this must be new. How many are there? I click on Hulu. There's 9 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
That guy's, I mean, they play music. Those guys are like, they do professional music. You know, the guy that wrote it.
A show that's like really blowing up right now. It's not as much as it was maybe a year or two ago, but I can't stand it. And I mention it because the comic's right behind you.
Love it. Stop it.
Rick and Morty. I hate that show
What?
so much.
How?
That is maybe it's just because people.
Explain yourself.
I will explain
I
myself.
might fight you to the death in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
that is like
Few minutes.
high concept,
Holy
lowbrow
crap, like,
science fiction.
I can't.
Wow.
I hate it. It is Futurama for people who need
know
to be
what?
spoon-fed plot
Whoa,
devices.
whoa. You know what it is? He's a Jerry.
Oh,
I'm
man.
a Jerry, and I'm proud of it.
We're gonna have to
I
have a
was
whole other
thinking- I was
podcast
thinking
where we
that
just
same thing,
argue because
Futurama. I
Yeah,
really
I'm
was.
telling
You know,
That was
and you know what? I'm talking from. I gave the show a chance. I watched a solid chunk of episodes, and it's decent. It's okay. It's got some good moments, but everybody acts like it's this new.
this is my
amazing
impression
thing.
of the look that Pee Wee Herman gives when they tell him that his bike being stolen is a police emergency. Remember, like I can't even. It's also crazy to me. I can't even.
Maybe make eye contact right now.
Maybe it's something to do with the fact that the fan base of that show is the very vocal part of that fan base. At least is very toxic.
Maybe that's what it is.
Watching the show, I'm like, it is not this new, innovative experience that people make it out to be.
I've never desired to watch someone get chokeslammed through a table so bad as Donnie right now.
Wow. On top
That
of
looked
it,
like Will Ferrell's stepbrothers. They're like, that's what I heard. I told my dinosaur. Like,
It's not even just like such a good adult comedy. It's such a good science fiction.
yeah, it
And
pushes.
it references so many other aspects of nerd culture. Just
Like I said, it had its moments that I
I can tell by the look on your face. You don't watch it, do you?
I've watched some episodes.
Okay. Do you watch it at all? Have you ever seen
Couple.
it? Okay. I'll tell you what. We're going to do a side podcast at some point. Let's move on to more of a group conversation.
All right.
Hey, one thing it's a guilty pleasure for me, but I'll probably offend. I'll follow you. Akira.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was a movie, and I thought it was spectacular, but I don't watch anime in any way, shape, or form.
Me,
None of
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't read it, and I
Me neither.
have friends that are just huge fans of it, and it's not a guilty pleasure. It's just something that I usually don't go to.
Yeah.
I haven't
And
watched.
I happened to see it. I had all the comics when it came out. Phenomenal artwork and everything. Great storyline. Great movie, but it never prompt me to go see anything else.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we've all seen Dragon Ball Z and all
Yes.
that stuff, but that's just because it's on TV.
And maybe that's beyond me because I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z. I've watched it and I'm going.
That's a little different from Akira. Akira's real serious.
We had
Yeah.
a conversation the one time about everyone's perspective on like manga and anime and stuff.
Right, right.
And I think hearing you say now that you like Akira, would definitely lend me to being able to like put 5 or 6 things in front of you. That would absolutely get you into anime.
What's the one? Vampire Hunter D or what's the one?
Like Helsing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them.
Cowboy Bebop would definitely be right down your alley if you like Akira.
And I read Lone Wolf and Cub back when it was out.
Okay. There's
some more adult themed ones,
right?
That are intellectually challenging and have very beautiful artwork and very beautiful directing and just.
I've seen the was it Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Is that Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so the actual anime it's based on is fantastic.
Yeah, it has to be more serious there again.
Yeah. There's a. Are you familiar with Castlevania? The video game? Well, there's a Castlevania anime on Netflix right now, and it's really cool. Yeah.
I gave it.
And there again, I grew up
minutes,
with Speed Racer.
Kim
of the White Line.
So can't do
wasn't the fact that I didn't watch
I don't know.
You know,
I'm missing the anime gene altogether.
Yeah,
like Castlevania, I gave it about 10 minutes, and I'm like, no, I can't do this.
I like that.
Yeah, because that's what it gets.
The reason I think anime suits very well to some styles of storytelling, especially for more serious things, the hard-lined art style with like the cel-shaded graphics sometimes that they use, lends very well to more over-the-top, like gratuitous violence within a certain setting. So like there's one I love called Psychopaths. That's essentially a Minority Report.
Oh, really?
They have everybody's emotions broken down to a color scale. And if you get towards the more cloudy hues of colors, it predefines you as a latent criminal, and they bring you in, and that's the only time lethal force is used by the police. And it gets very, very interesting.
See, now that sounds so interesting, and from my point of view, it's like, man, I wish that wasn't an anime, because I just, like, it's a great story. I wish I don't know, I don't have the gene. As soon as I see that, I'm like,
and the other side of that is Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have no interest whatsoever.
Even as a child, I did not like Pokemon that much.
My kids were into it.
I was into it at first when it first came out.
My youngest daughter had all little Pokemon figures.
Yeah, like I said, if I
threw a Pokeball at my mom.
If I was 8 or 10, sure.
No.
That's like Claymation, like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
James the Giant Peach.
I knew it. I knew it was getting around to it. You're breaking my heart.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Is I'm not saying that it's soulless garbage. I'm saying I personally just don't like
it. It's not your jam
at all. Like to the point where I can't spend 5 minutes in front of it.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I'm a Willis O'Brien.
You're an idiot.
Oh.
What you say?
Wow. I really will let Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm just kidding.
I just said no video.
I'm just kidding.
You can pinpoint the moment when his heart breaks in half.
Kramer's got George in a headlock.
We can hear it even though he's pausing.
Yeah.
Kramer's got this.
But no, man. No, the claymation stuff, I can't do it. No, I liked Gumby and Pokey back in the day. But yeah.
Speaking of, I have like 4 or 5 VHSs full of Gumbies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ordered Gumby because of that. Gumby #1.
You see, I was about to say, did you see Gumby's back?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been too long.
I'll tell you, on Adams may laugh when I'm standing in line in Baltimore. I got the Gumby winter and summer special, or the first 2 things I'm throwing down there to get
That's hilarious.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
Yeah, but no, like James the Giant Peach, no. And you guys will hate this, but talk about unpopular. Nightmare Before Christmas, we went up to see it, and I don't even remember how old it was, but I was with my parents when we went and saw it, and about a half an hour into it, I was like, I'm just going to walk around the mall. I just laughed. I don't know.
Why?
Because the claymation
You're
stuff,
not Sandy Claus.
Yeah, I hate
didn't
it.
do it for you. Huh?
Yeah, just that stop motion, I can't stand it.
I don't think Logan and you can be friends anymore.
Yeah, that's probably my top 3 films of all time.
Really? But see, you've only seen 8 films, so we can't really...
Wonder Woman makes 9.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, yeah. He's going to get the double digits here once he watches Civil War.
Then he's going to be unstoppable.
I'm going to sit over here, call me an idiot.
On a special podcast when he gets to the Baker's dozen.
You know what's good about
the Baker's dozen.
Yeah. You know what's good about this? It's funny because I think we're all most of us are part of that Marvel slate where they're talking about the other day. There was this change like say the most sacrilegious thing.
Oh yeah, we talked about that last week.
Because it was funny because people were starting to share these things. You know, some of us hold dear. I mean, there was a lot of like Kirby and Ditko bashing, like humongous amounts.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, It's okay to me if it's not your jam. You've said it yourself, George. If it's not your jam, it's not your jam.
Yeah, there's people out there that don't like Alex Ross. I mean, really?
And you said it's not. I'm not disrespecting it. It's just not my thing. And that's cool. I mean, that's what some artists, people go gaga over certain artists, you know. Well, like some people really love Frank Miller. There's some people, they're like, I don't think Frank Miller's a great artist.
I think he's done a lot better stuff than he's doing now. My goodness.
Yeah.
But and that goes to, I mean, I jokingly just called you an idiot, but that's the kind of mentality that's on the internet. I stay. You guys
say it isn't so.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a difference between hide behind your keyboard like you're a tough guy, and 6 of us sitting around a table talking to each other.
You know, I'm not a fan of this. Well, I hope you get cancer. That is the internet.
Something like that before.
No, it's
And I don't mouth off a whole lot because I'm the smallest guy here. George is like twice my size.
Yeah, but I'm the laziest, so
he is the ferocious.
There's a reason why my chair has wheels on.
I'm gonna kick your ass. I'll be like, I'm gonna kick your ass one time this week, but
you're gonna get it when I get there.
I think you're faster than him. So
all right,
really
so hey, Walls brought that up. Give us an unpopular opinion, a sacrilegious opinion in the world of comics.
Deadpool is written for 6th graders.
Yeah. Mine was about Steranko, and people were like, I can't believe you said that, but they were like, cool, but I can't believe you did that because I've never heard anybody bust on Steranko. Cool. Some of the greatest, I think, covers. I love the covers, but when I look inside the Nick Fury stuff he did, like one guy's leg, okay, the right leg is like, I don't know, 2 inches, and the left leg is 4 inches. I'm like, what? Your anatomy, I just don't understand. I can't even understand it. And it's not like, for instance, Kelly Jones with the exaggerated, bodies and things like that. That's part of his style. I don't think it looks fanzine crap to me, Steranko's. It looks like you didn't do that intentionally. You just have a really bad sense of anatomy. Period. Oh, and this guy was like, okay, these people were like coming, they were raining down on me, but a couple guys are going, I get it. The covers are cool, but I get it. He says his anatomy really isn't all that
good. But that's the image thing. I talk about that all the time. It was cool. And Steranko did some of the most iconic covers ever, and they're still being copied to this day. Right. His sense of, you look in some of his caps and stuff, the way he lays out
Doctor
the pages
Strange covers.
and stuff.
There's Strange Tales that are absolutely cool looking.
Oh, they're super cool.
Yeah.
But I get it. But everyone, I think,
Barry Windsor Smith,
Art Adams, a lot of these guys, Kirby, you don't get much stranger anatomy than that. Yeah. It's just that.
But
it's just that.
But it works.
But I understand. But we sit there and talk about this.
It's not uneven.
And I've accused you personally, musically, of the Beatles because you never liked the Beatles for a long, long time. Yeah. You've come around.
After years of beatdown.
No, seriously.
And once again, to go back to George, I always respected their greatness, but I just didn't. And you know what? As I got older, I appreciated them a lot more.
Right. But when everyone tells you how great Ditko and Kirby are, you just sort of like, hey, they're not my cup of tea. And then you start to resent it. Yeah. Because everybody, let's just go to the top 5, and everyone always goes to the same ones.
Yeah. And maybe you feel like,
that's not like I said, and with Austin and Donna here being younger, much younger than I am, probably half my age, less than half my age. I get it whenever I say, hey, these guys are the greatest, and they're like, I'm not into it. I look at this stuff and it looks old. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't watch. We've talked about Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
These things are hard to watch.
I hate it. Yeah.
Wizard of Oz to me stands up, but it's almost it's a musical. It's supposed to feel that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stage acting, whenever I see it from Cary Grant, all these, James Stewart, a lot of this stuff is stage acting, and it doesn't hold up for me. They don't act like real people.
I have a lot of respect for Orson Welles, but I'm on the same thing. I've watched this and Kane numerous times. I'm just not really, not really captivated by it.
My dad hadn't watched it in probably the best part of 25 years, and he was like, this is the greatest movie of all time. We need to sit and watch it. And I sat and watched it with him, and at the end of it, he's like, man, I'm sorry. He's like, it just doesn't hold up. And you know what? It doesn't.
My uncle's a film buff, and I told him the best thing Orson Welles ever did was voice Unicron in the Transformers movie.
It's funny you mentioned that.
He damn near slapped me through a wall.
It's funny.
The greatest thing he ever did.
It's funny you mentioned that because last night I was watching a video.
You're an idiot.
I say the sacrilegious thing.
Yeah, he voiced Unicron.
It's funny Austin brings that up because last night I was watching a video on YouTube and it was called the top 10 roles that were taken just for money. And
Watch Mojo.
Well, yep, one of the top ones was Orson Welles' Unicron.
Yeah,
where he apparently he was just like, I did a voice for a Japanese toy and it was stupid. It changed
But
from
they
one
paid
thing
me
into
a lot
another
of
thing.
money.
But I had rent due, so there you go.
But these kind of conversations, when we have a demographics like we do, keep it real for me.
Yeah.
Because everyone, I think, oh, this is this, and then you guys are like, nah, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think that film's garbage. It's just not,
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
it's so considered such, the peak. It's the Mount Everest, and it's a watchable film, but it doesn't hammer me out. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Tim, give us a controversial view.
Controversial view. Marvel will always be better than DC.
Well, that's not controversial. That's just fact.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're really pushing for. They're really. It's like they're fighting to see who's second best.
New previews.
Yeah.
The new previews. I'm sitting there going through the Marvel. Did you guys go through it? Mm-mm. They're bringing Darkhawk and Dazzler back.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
Said nobody ever.
You know what though? From a retailer point of view, I appreciate it when they put a book in there that I know for a fact I don't have to order.
No pressure
Guess
there.
what? We don't need
pressure.
this.
I can just remember early cons, and you get to the D section, there was like
people that come
50
to George,
freaking
like,
copies
yeah,
of
that's
Dazzler #1. I mean, you joke about like lining your coffin with books. You're like, when am I going to get to the next D here? I was looking for Defenders. I'm like, okay, this is number 47 Dazzler, #1, 48 Dazzler. I'm like, whoa. My God,
Here's the thing: is you say I jokingly say that, but the fact of the matter is, statistically, despite the fact you're a little older than I am, I'll probably die first due to my unholy tie to the double and triple burgers down at Roy Rogers,
in my life either, so
and the KFC buffet.
Yeah, I
when you
worked
go
at KFC.
so
I was a manager at KFC.
When you go to see me, it'll be an open casket, most likely, and it will be lined with Darkhawk comics. I told my wife, I actually told her that. I said, hey, if something were to happen to me, I know this sounds dumb, but especially if all the podcast guys are still around, please make sure that you don't have to bury me with them, because I wouldn't want to somehow find myself on the other side and I'm completely backwards on religion and find out that I'm stuck reading Darkhawk for eternity.
That's hell. You are Darkhawk.
Or I become Darkhawk. And it won't even be the Mark Bagley version. It'll be like Derek Robertson or someone.
It'll be Mike Manley.
Tom Lyle.
Comment ever. So, I was like, just at least set them in there so when they come, they get a chuckle out of that.
Mike Manley will come to your funeral.
I want your arms
He's the one who did
crossed.
the Azrael.
Yeah, all right.
No.
I want your arms crossed with Squirrel Girl. On your chest is your most
We'll
prized
miss you, buddy.
It's out of control.
Indeed.
Yeah, but
And when we
Squirrel
close the
Girl at least
casket-
seems to have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
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 Where
Well, look at the title.
Dazzler, there's nothing funny about that.
I like the fact that there are
Nothing
some
at all.
characters that they
What's
can play
your
on the
sacrilege?
fact that it's like
It's silly.
Honestly, I guess it's that whole thing about Nightmare Before Christmas. I just don't get it at all. Even like the look of it. Like, forget about watching the movie. I worked at Spencer's for 10 years, and that was like a staple. Those things, selling those things.
I'm sure it still is.
Like, I love Halloween. It's cool. I like skeletons. All I was like, I don't get this. This is dumb. I don't like it at all. Like, hey, you won this shirt. I'm like, what is it? Nightmare Before Christmas? No, keep it. That's probably my.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the genre in itself. I just like that film.
I just mean I love everything that it's a part of.
I love
but
it. No, I
for
love
some
Jim,
reason,
Willis O'Brien, Jim Danforth, all the and Harry Hawson. I love all that stuff. I really do.
oh, I love that too. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Like, I think maybe it's what it is when it's real, when it's stop motion that kind of feels real, like monsters and horror.
Yeah.
But when you start putting in songs and dances and comedy with that, I'm like, no, just
this is Halloween.
Everybody.
yeah. I'm just like, no, it isn't. This isn't Halloween.
And it wasn't.
This isn't my Halloween.
Last night on Facebook, someone told me to go kill myself
Oh, wow.
because
You said you like Nightmare Before Christmas?
no, they put up a post saying that Heath Ledger was the best Joker and Jack Nicholson's was number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I told them no.
I'm with you.
And I said I read lots of Batman books, and Jack Nicholson's Joker was a little bit still too mentally hinged. Heath Ledger's Joker seemed like he had everything planned out, and there was nothing whimsical and detached about him. And I was like,
You're going to throw Cesar Romero up there somewhere.
Cesar Romero was my number 2.
You're going to put Mark Hamill in there, aren't you?
Mark Hamill was my number 1.
Yeah.
Cesar Romero was my number 2.
I love Romero.
And it was tied at number 2 with Jared Leto. And they were like, what?
Whoa.
And I said, okay. I just always reference this scene of when the guy, the guard from Bel Rev, is at the casino, and Jared Leto comes and sits on his lap. I said, I've asked numerous friends of mine who watched Suicide Squad, and in that moment when you first watched it, no one had a clue what the hell Jared Leto's Joker was about to do. And that's the whole thing.
See, my problem, though, is that I don't think that the producers or writers had a clue as to what he was going to do either. And that's why that movie sucked so much.
No, you're 100% right. Like, they didn't.
The swirling circle of trash.
So when people talk about, when they're like, oh, well, Heath Ledger did all this and made himself insane, and I was like, but he didn't. He was still, like, very much in the role. See, Jared Leto just scared the living shit out of me every time he was on screen.
Cesar Romero's
It scared me that I paid $13 to see the movie. But no, I thought Jack Nicholson as the Joker is just Jack Nicholson with some makeup on. Like, he's not the Joker. Like, he eclipses the character.
The laugh and the facial expression, Cesar Romero, man, that's just...
And Heath Ledger reminded me of I think. Anarchy. There's a whole character called Anarchy that just likes to plan out these type of events like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Are we not going to count at all, like, what the Joker looks like? Does that not count?
What about the Gotham Joker? What about the new Joker?
Oh, no, he's really badass.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
I watch Gotham.
I haven't started season 3 yet, but I hear it's
I've always said Willem Dafoe should have always been.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of the Green Goblin, he has a perfect face. He's an incredible actor. The hair, he's got the right build.
Well, look at Shadow of the Vampire. It's only about a step or two away from it. If you think about it.
Have you guys heard the rumor about who might be playing Carnage in the Venom movie?
I don't know.
Woody Harrelson. It's a rumor. It hasn't been confirmed.
Would be terrifying.
It's a rumor.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. I just look at Woody Harrelson and I don't see Carnage.
I'm going out on a limb and saying that the Venom movie is going to be bad.
I mean, that's my.
I think it's going to be
not
terrible.
that I think I could.
I got an ugly feeling that the Han Solo movie is not going to be that great, and I'm really, really hoping. I mean, I want it to be wonderful.
I just watched Star Wars: The Last Jedi last night for the first time.
Yeah.
I have no more hope for the Star Wars franchise.
What?
I thought that movie was terrible.
Oh, wow.
Well, I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and only you.
Another podcast.
Oh, there's going to be another death wish. I hope there's not another death wish here.
Yeah, because...
No, I just got that on Blu-ray and watched it.
Yeah.
It's the first time since because I only watched it the one time on opening night.
Did you guys all see the last 2 Star Wars movies, 2 or 3 Star Wars movies? Is anybody here not? You didn't see any of them?
I saw the
Force Awakens.
I saw
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
A bunch of people complaining. It's just like A New Hope. They just gave it a face mask. Oh, okay. So everybody gets to gripe about it. Now they make, the last one, The Last Jedi. It's nothing like what we thought it should have been. They subverted all our ideas, so now we're mad about that too. I'm like, nah.
I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you.
I loved it.
I could live with the original '70s movie, the first 3 movies, and not have ever seen any of them.
Well, I agree with that when it comes to the prequels. They can flush all that stuff.
Whoa, Phantom Menace. Best Star Wars film ever made.
See, and that sounds like something that would be said by somebody that also hates The Last Jedi.
You were this tall.
So,
yeah. Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, here we go.
Things.
No, I think the Han Solo movie, my thing with the Han Solo movie is the only thing it needs to be is fun.
Yeah.
Like a movie like that, it just needs to be fun. I don't need this thing that's just going to try to be this next big block. It just needs to be fun.
It needs to be fun, but it needs to be true to the character so that they don't Darth Vader us and give you some, I don't know, just something that doesn't fit what Harrison Ford did. It's just like, just leave it alone. Yeah. You already ruined Darth Vader, and you already ruined Boba Fett by telling us what they were like when they were kids and teenagers and mopey. Like, don't do that anymore.
Well, at least with
my
Han
perception
Solo.
is for me, for the original stuff, which I found fascinating. When I saw them in the theater, I just thought they were super fantastic. I just think it's watering it down for me. That's just my
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, but really for someone who does not have a Star Wars shirt on.
Wow.
I do.
You do.
He's talking about me, everybody.
Which is pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, I think you guys hold this in way too. It's what I'm going to accuse you guys of the same thing I accuse myself of. You keep comparing to the first 3, and you're like, guys, it's just a Star Wars movie. Everything's not going to be the same as the first 3 when you first see it.
Well, see,
if it comes down to 18, 20 films and stuff, and they're still going, it's just it's not going to have the same impact.
Oh, sure.
And I hear everybody as soon as the movie comes, you guys, instead of just letting it sit on its own, you compare it to old stuff, and that's not the way it should be.
That's what I try to do is just on its own. Like, I loved Rogue One on its own.
Yeah,
as a Star Wars story. I think as vast as the universe is, when we're talking about the books, like the comic books and how they tell stories of,
sure,
as big as the Star Wars universe is, there's so many different stories that can be told. And I thought
that have nothing to do with the Jedi.
I thought that The Last Jedi was literally a 2-hour chase scene. And I went back and watched it a second time after my initial viewing of it, and realized that the entire movie is a 2-hour chase scene of them just trying to get after that one cruiser. And I was just kind of like, there's so much more after everything they introduced in The Last Jedi that they could have done with this story.
Well, what was the one that when they found Luke?
That was my problem
with the new characters.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah. That was the first one, Force Awakens, where he found him at the
Force Awakens, exactly.
Yeah.
Which to me was a total rehash of everything that I've seen before, from the very beginning of the scroll, the tapestry coming down, the whole thing where they went in there and they targeted. They went down there and on this starship and tried to blow it. It was Luke Skywalker all over again, going down there on the Death Star trying to drop that bomb.
And that's because the director, J.J. Abrams,
just rehashes everything.
Yeah, he has yet to make his own movie, because if you look at everything he's made, he made Super 8, which was really just a giant homage to Steven Spielberg in the 80s. And then he did Star Trek, which was basically his audition tape for A New Hope. And then he did Force Awakens, which is literally A New Hope. And, I like Force Awakens.
Yeah,
but I think for a new generation,
they made Last Jedi, and the guy tried to make his own movie, and then a bunch of people bitch about it.
And that's why I love Last Jedi, is because the Last Jedi did something that
it was fun.
It did.
I hate the movie.
The Last Jedi did something that eventually needed to happen, whether the fan base was kicking or screaming or not. And that's move away from the original 3 movies. Eventually, we were going to have to move away from those movies and start looking at Star Wars as a brand new thing again.
And I really feel like anybody that takes the time to get online and gripe and complain about a Star Wars movie, I didn't get on and write full reviews about it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Go right ahead. I'm just saying that anybody that takes the time to go on there and write up how much they hated the movie, they're going to see the next one. Yeah. That's how invested they are. So who cares? Just watch it. It's just a movie, damn it.
I feel like people hated on Batman vs Superman.
Oh boy!
I guess
hey, somebody bought my ticket to Justice League, and guess what? I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't going to see that 2-hour turd after paying to watch Batman vs Superman.
Just watch the director's cut.
And I like Justice League.
It's so much better.
I've yet to see Justice League.
Holy shit!
But I had somebody spoil a bit of it for me about how, apparently after Superman comes back to life, he spends a good amount of time complaining about we should have kept him dead. And for some reason, that is funny as shit to me. The fact that I live in a day and age where Superman is I want to be dead.
He's emo.
Yeah,
man.
For some reason, that just tickled me.
For me, Superman could have been dead since the late 1930s, and I wouldn't have cared.
Hey, you know what?
I'm not.
Me either.
We have breaking news. We're going to read this, and maybe we just get everybody's initial reaction. And Tim, I'm going to start with you because I feel like you drove in here to just sit here and listen to everybody else talk today.
I did. Sometimes you have their choice.
From DC Comics, DC launches new publishing imprint, DC Black Label, which is to bring edgy and provocative standalone stories to the legends of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. All-star writers including Frank Miller, Scott Snyder, Brian Azzarello, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Greg Rucka, and John Ridley joined the Black Label with their ultimate takes on modern superhero storytelling, collaborating with superstar artists John Romita Jr., Greg Capullo, Lee Barmaggio, and Phil Jimenez. So that's the latest. What do you think?
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Capullo hasn't disappointed me.
I'm a Romita Jr. fan too, and I love Capullo. I love
that last
metal.
Well,
that's going back.
Metal.
Yeah.
That's going back to the original thing we're talking about.
Capullo.
They're going to make stories that aren't. They're going to do some really cool stuff that have nothing to do with what's going on.
Yeah. See, I hear edgy, and I just think pizza cutter. All edge, no point.
Oh,
wow!
Touche.
Yeah, anytime they want to crank out an edgy Batman story, I don't. At the end of the day, I guess I look at it even if it's part of, let's say that the continuity's going on, I don't put too much stock in that because they can come up with a book tomorrow that cancels all of that.
Yeah, but why don't they just do it anyway? Why can't they put an edgy story in the continuity today?
I don't know. Why is Marvel going to be doing dual numbering?
To keep us buying it while trying to still appeal to everybody else. They want their cake and eat it too. Here's a question. Why is it that they took Jack Kirby art that they already own, because they stole it from him? Why don't they take art that they already ripped him off for and plain it on a cover. They don't have to pay an extra cent for that art, and they make it a variant. You got to buy 500 copies of Thor to get the one copy of the Jack Kirby cover Thor, which he already drew 60 years ago.
Because there's sheeple out there that are still going to do it.
It's incredibly short-sighted. And we've gone down that path.
Well, it's funny when you're trying to encourage somebody to respect the elders like that too. It makes it pretty hard when it makes it like a 1/500. That's another thing too. Yeah. If you really want to pay homage to one of the, if not the greatest comic artists, and that's what you're going to do, that turns people off. They're like, well,
there's some teenage punks going, Jack Kirby's all about money. I'm not paying him all that money for that book. That's a bunch of crap. He draws like my comics my grandfather has. I don't even know if he has a job. I can't even find his Twitter. He thinks he's too good to talk to us on social media.
He's snooty, isn't
wow.
Kevin Nealon on Saturday Night Live in 1992 when Jack Kirby passed away, and he said, in this week's sad news, legendary comic book artist Jack Kirby passed away. The good news is Marvel plans on bringing him back to life in a crossover next summer.
Wow. Exactly.
Yeah, if Frank Miller wants to do a Batman, just tell him to do a Batman in what's going on. They're going to set it apart so it'll sell better.
Yeah.
But why don't you just have him in number 822 do a 5-issue series?
Because it won't sell as good.
Look how well.
Why can't we just do that? And something that makes sense.
We had a whole episode
How
on
well
graphic
White Knight's
novels,
doing.
right?
Yeah.
We had a whole episode on graphic novels, and we talked about how great a standalone story can be.
Sure.
Yes.
When it's done in the right pretenses.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I wanted to bring this up today is because when this was brought to my attention, and it was like the full layout of the whole plan, DC essentially said, what we have running with Metal and Rebirth and Doomsday Clock is so good right now, and people are really buying into it. That's what DC said. They have a whole plethora of writers that have been approaching them and artists that want to do their own thing. And they want to do their own run for however long or short it needs to be. And then they're going to, of course, probably bundle them into graphic novels. But I really think that that's going to be cool. When they're not restricted to having to work within the guidelines of what's going on. Like, Frank Miller's is going to be Superman Year One. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be his take on Superman.
The problem is if we go with Frank Miller and his scheduling, like the DK3 story, it's going to take him 40 years to put out Superman Year One.
As the Dark Knight.
Story. That story's still not finished. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And number one landed the month I opened this shop 2.5 years ago. I mean, and it's still not done. So,
but these things they've been in production for a little while. They're just finally announcing them because they've had these guys writing stories and doing such for so long. So I guess they do have a schedule already lined out, and I guess they're.
I don't mean to be talking to you like you're.
No, I understand.
You're answering for
You're
these
in charge,
people.
Austin. Come on.
But it seems like for me this was like a very fresh
with the
thing.
program.
I'm really going to get on it.
Well, I'm just going to have to admit I'll never be on board with the continuity thing or the non-continuity. It just never made any sense.
But look at how good the White Knight's doing.
Yeah,
White
Knight.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because that's not anything.
It's not anything.
Well, the Joker. I mean, it's great, but the Joker without makeup and all that. Yeah.
And yet we're still buying it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't read any of the Dark Knight Metal stuff. Was that actually any good?
Dark Knight Metal? Yeah, what I
guys
like.
were pretty cool.
Yeah,
because
some
the
more.
last one, the art is fantastic.
Because I didn't read any of it. Some might have mentioned this before. Just the concept of it just seemed really silly to me.
I don't know. I mean,
well, it is DC.
You and I and 4 other men are sitting around in a room surrounded by 20,000 newsprint little comic stories. It's all kind of silly.
No, but
I need a definition.
But this is the one I'm going to pick
What
up.
I thought they did was great was in Dark Knight Metal, each one of those was a one-shot. You could take it, read it, and it was good to go, but it also fits into a bigger picture. But I didn't read them all. I got them all, but I read like 3 of them, and I thought they were all cool.
My problem with it was, because, when it comes to those Elseworld stories, I'm like, you know what, they can be really good, but then they can also be not so good. Some of the best Superman movies are those, like All-Star Superman, Superman for All Seasons.
Yeah, Superman, Red
Sun. Some of the best Superman
Gotham
movies.
by Gaslight.
Yeah, some of the best Superman and Batman stories are those Elseworlds ones.
Yeah.
But I looked at Dark Knight Metal, I'm like, well, what's this about?
Check it out.
And, I see, like, a Batman version of Doomsday. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Somebody at DC went, hey, you know that guy who killed Superman? He's not intimidating enough. He's not strong enough. He's not scary enough. Let's make him Batman. And that just seems silly to me.
I guess the whole thing with when they do something that's, changes the character or someone dies, but yet it's not.
It doesn't.
it's not part of the continuity. That's what the problem is. They can write the greatest stories in an 8-issue miniseries like The White Knight.
Yeah.
Really great artwork, but at the same time, if something happens that's significant, it didn't actually happen.
Right.
And that's kind of hard for me to get over. So you're talking about the Justice League where Superman dies, or in Batman vs Superman, then he comes back in the movies. Did it happen? Do we care that he dies? Because it didn't happen. Does that make sense?
Reaction.
Yeah. No,
same with Darth Vader and stuff. He died, and everyone. It's a dumb thing because he's such a great villain, but they didn't know that when they killed him initially. How legendary this whole line was going to become.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like whenever they replace Ben Grimm with Power Man back in the day, that was a big deal.
Right.
And now it could just be just a storyline, whatever.
But what happens when they're so impactful that they cross over? Like we talked about.
But the thing is and stuff, Austin, is they don't stay that way. Is what I'm trying to say. Well, there's no one that dies permanently. There's no one. Hulk's going to be back. Wolverine's coming back.
Permanently, but for instance, we talked about, even though the Killing Joke was a one shot, Barbara Gordon has been Oracle since the Killing Joke. Like for whatever reason, and something that wasn't part of the main continuity, it was so impactful, the Joker shooting her in the back, that it stuck to the main continuity, and she's been wheelchair bound since.
I understand, but one meeting, one group of people like us getting together for DC and say, hey, I got an idea. Frank Miller says, hey, we're going to make her this. It changes. There's no continuity whatsoever, and henceforth, anything that's significant and these big crossovers, they don't count.
But would you say...
Am I demeaning the whole thing, or am I wrong?
I wonder, and you tell me, do you think that maybe that perspective comes partially from... you've been buying books for a long time,
sure.
And a lot of the time that you collected them, what was the first major crossover? Would it have been Secret Wars that you collected, or was out whenever you were buying books?
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, so how long had you been buying books? How long had you been collecting before Secret Wars got here?
That's 84, 86?
Yeah. Somewhere around that, yeah.
I started in
10, 12 years.
Okay, so if you laid down a solid decade of buying books and knowing that each month those whatever comes out is part of the story, then they start introducing these things where it's like, oh, okay, this is Elseworlds, this and that. Maybe that plays into it a little bit. Like, I don't ever know a time where comics were coming out where there weren't stories that weren't included in the lineage. Like, I don't know. I don't think of the lineage as important. Like, I was irritated when Fantastic Four ended, and
there was
they
only
wanted
one
to start it over again.
FF. There was only Amazing Spider-Man when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Right.
And when Webman Spectacular came, then things started getting a little convoluted.
See, I don't remember.
This has happened. Like Maximum Carnage, the big crossover that went through all things.
Yeah.
That's one of the rare times that all three of those titles were tied together.
When I walked in the comic store for the very first time, there was Web, Spectacular, and Amazing.
4 titles.
Yeah.
And I think McFarlane's book was even on the wall.
Yeah.
The first
just
time I walked.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, so there were 4 titles the day I walked in. And, so I don't know. I never really looked at it.
I got a problem with that
So
whole
when you
mess
started,
that they do.
Are you saying when you started, then even the McFarlane Spider said there were 4 Spider titles?
There was 4 Spider-Man books the first day I walked into a comic store. So I didn't know any different. Like, I think maybe if I'd have started collecting in the 70s, I'd have been like, oh yeah, you're following these and you're trying to keep everything in line, and then they start watering down. Well, I showed up post watered down. So I don't know. Maybe had I been collecting,
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just something I cannot get used to.
Right. And I see why. I can understand why.
At all.
Yeah.
Now the Craven storyline went through all 3.
It did.
Yes.
There's one
That
right
was
there.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
X-Men Red, Gold, and Blue.
Yeah.
Red, Gold, and Blue. This X-Men Grand Design, though, was freaking awesome.
Yes,
That was
absolutely.
great.
Yeah, like the way I see it, like using Spider-Man as an example again, because right now they brought back Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So we have Amazing and Spectacular again. The way I see it is like Amazing is something that happened on Monday. Spectacular is something that happened to him on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also got Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which is a regular ongoing series.
Well,
they got regular Spider-Man.
Isn't that like an alternate,
Sorry.
Renew Your Vows? Isn't that
Sort of like
alternate?
Spawn, Savage Dragon, Son of the Image. They've had one book.
Yes.
And you can follow, if you read from number 1, Larson's vision of Savage Dragon is just his.
It's pretty crazy. Right?
Yeah, there's not 3 Savage...
It is off the hook right now.
There's not the... There's a Savage Dragon. There's not the sensitive dragon, But but that's his vision.
Savage Diggler.
And I can appreciate that a whole lot more than the super dragon, the sensitive dragon, you know, as opposed, the savage dragon.
The sensitive
dragon. Which one am I reading here?
Spawn of speech.
I think that's just a problem.
Have you been to the dance club? He's a sensitive dragon.
I understand.
So many different characters because then there's so many stories to tell.
And there's been Batman and Detective all along.
Yeah.
And there's been World's Finest.
Yeah. And
So
Brave and the Bold.
Superman in action.
Hey,
Right.
Brave and the Bold's out right now.
Brave and the
Liam
Bold.
Sharp.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
He's writing it and drawing it. I don't know how I feel about that. Writing and
Up
drawing.
the jam, indeed.
Some people aren't meant to write comics. It's just how it is.
Some
I
people aren't meant
always,
to draw them, I feel.
Yeah.
I always had a problem with the Wolverine, the miniseries. Or not the series, but the series. Wolverine. It's like, you have one, in 5 minutes I'm reading X-Men saving the world against Magneto, or some big cosmic thing. Next thing I know, I'm reading Wolverine run around in the woods.
Yeah,
or
that happened
something.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So, it's always been confusing.
Well, guys, it's been a heck of a good podcast this week.
Round robin.
So we will come back next week. Hey, send us some messages. Let us know if you prefer this. I had a ton of people, literally a ton of people, saying how much they preferred the audio podcast because they downloaded and listened to it in the car and this and that. And I know our good friend Norman will be listening to this, and I know I'm going to catch some hell for Dog and James and the Giant Peach and Nightmare Before Christmas. So
As you should.
as I should. So look forward to that, and we will see you guys next week. I'm George.
Tim.
Austin.
Walls.
Donnie.
Gary.
That's all of us, and we will see you next week.